Ushali, do you remember what technology was used in your classroom when you were in school?
Oh, of course. So we had an AV room. It had a projector and a screen, right? And every week you had to book that AV room. And then we used to have, oh, my class got AV room on Monday. So it's a sense of pride. That was the technology that we had in our school.
So maybe my school was a little earlier than yours. We didn't have those as well. So, it's great. I think the classrooms of today look a lot different, especially in the urban areas, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, absolutely. So now we have robotic lab and then robotic arm and all. We have 3D printer, we have augmented reality, virtual reality. My God, the classes are very different now. Yeah,
absolutely.
they have come a
All
long
right.
way.
So, to show us the importance of technology in education and how to integrate it, we have a special speaker for the session on how to integrate technology in a classroom. I would like to invite Shri Raj Shekhar Joshi ji, who is who has got an immense amount of experience not only in pure technology but how to build technology into education and making it accessible for all. Thank you for sparing your time with us, sir. It is great to have you on board. Uh,
So, Shri Raj Shekhar Joshi, hello, good evening. He is a Namaskar, sir. He is a social and business leader with more than 3 decades of experience in technology, education, telecom in India and globally. He's a graduate in computer science from IIT Roorkee. He leads digital technologies and transformation at group level in one of India's largest business groups. He has contributed to policy building in education, especially technology in education, AI, and cybersecurity. In the past, he has been a member of the National Working Committee of Electronics and Computer Software Export Promotion Council, Cabinet's Empowered Technology Group, and many other industrial policy forums. He has written articles in Economic Times, CIO News, plus immense contribution to works on e-learning and judiciary. Rajshekharji, over to you.
Thank you so much. First of all, a great pleasure to join this forum, and thank you for inviting me. Technology, as you could see, more than 3 decades I have been, in technology, a computer science engineer. So it runs in my blood, in literally in that way, and and also I had an experience of pioneering effort which we did around 18 years back when I was at Macmillan, and we launched digital education programs for students for class 12, and as well as how to use technology in while I was part of an educational publishing organization. So that was an experience, and from those days it's been a long journey, and and when I get very extensively involved in education, especially in my home state of Uttarakhand, and also at the policy level nationally, and I see a lot of schools in Bombay, which is there. So it's a lot of journey when I traveled, which is there, and I see the march of technology continues. How important is technology to education? What a great role it plays. It doesn't require much to say that it's very well understood and known by everyone that in an era where every company calls itself as a technology company, or technology is literally determining the growth of nations, it is inevitable that it plays a greater role in education as we see, which is there. And considering this, also I've also been involved in the new education policy, especially on technology in education group which is there, and we've been very extensively debating and discussing on these issues which is there. And of course, as we all know that technology essentially plays, if you say so, role in four important areas in education, which is there, especially in school education. One is in the classroom processes, which is there, the classroom processes of teaching, learning, and assessment, where how the teacher can teach yeah. So that's very, as far the learning is also concerned by students. They can use different devices to learn, and so on and so forth. They can access internet and so on. So these are the academic processes which are there, and also an assessment. The second important part where technology plays a big role is in administration and planning, as we know that, how to administer a school in terms of attendance and different kind of processes, and also how the school chain can be managed, various operational and administrative processes. The third important part which the technology plays in education is in the area where it's like a deciding role. For example, reaching education reach to to places which are very far away, places which are distant, in the hilly areas or mountainous areas where it's difficult to have so many teachers. It's difficult for good teachers to be there. So I think that's a very important role, or especially for differently abled students. So that's a big role technology plays. And the other important part is on the teacher preparation. How can teacher prepare the best content, and how it can be, you can take lesson plans, access education, material from all over the world. So essentially, they are the four areas where technology plays very important role. Just to summarize again, that's like the classroom process, the process to for administration and so on, of the school and the network, and also where it's just not where, like, differently abled or mountainous areas. Because I see, I'll come to that, various examples which I see of technology so in education. And the fourth, as I said, is the teacher preparation. So these are the very four important areas which are there where technology has been playing a very big role. When it comes to new education policy, a subject where I've studied a lot recently, and as I said, I'm part of the policy group also. There, I think there's a huge reference. There is at least like whole sections devoted to technology in education, as well as almost like 20 plus references of technology as far as the school education is concerned. And the new education policy is very vocal about it, in that sense, whether it is establishing of the national educational technology forum for research and identification of new technologies, which is there. That's one important area. The other important area is the how to tap the creativity of tech-savvy teachers and entrepreneurs, which are there, including student entrepreneurs, and how to improve the teacher learning and evaluation processes. The fourth area is how various kind of educational software should be developed, especially in the open source technology environment. And also the enjoyable and inspirational books for students can be developed where technology can be used. Also, the new education policy gives a lot of thrust on how the use technology can be used for teaching and learning of different languages, and which is very important in a country like India. So these are very critical references which have been made. And also how new disruptive technologies like AI and virtual reality can be used, how data can be used, and so on, and how the digital divide can be eliminated. So I think these are some very important areas. I can go on and on. There are around 20 plus areas where the new education policy has been very clear, which is there. So that's one important part which is there. The other thing is that as I see the deliberations go on forward, where there's a lot of focus going to be, as I see, and you would see this coming out in coming days very extensively, is that how pedagogically technology could be extensively used, and how piloting could be done. Today it's like it's a very in a way which is like different states and different chains do it in very good way. For example, capacity building of teachers in technology in Karnataka has been very well used. How the online capacity building program has been done in Delhi. How various things like image recognition application technology was used in Tamil Nadu, and how the regional resource hubs have been used in Tamil Nadu. So there have been very good practices. How during the pandemic, WhatsApp groups are very extensively used in in various states, especially like I think I understand in Chhattisgarh and others, like around 50,000 groups were created, and so on and so forth. So how these technologies can be in a more structured way, can be these pilots can be scaled up. I think that's what you're going to see a lot of focus going to come up. You're going to see a lot of uses of analytics in the there have been like in Gujarat there's been a Vidya Samiksha Kendra, and I understand that this is going to be used extensively across multiple states, and that plan is already being implemented. And one important thing which you're going to see is that today there's a lot of focus of technology buying in states, and in they buy computers and hardware a lot, which is there's a lot of focus on buying hardware. But I think the emerging trend is going to be that, and you're going to see, you might see this in the policy also, is how rather than buying hardware, we could use outcome based service models, so that if rather than buying hardware, you buy computers, and the contract could say that these computers should run for so many hours. And I think this is a very important thing. People don't many people don't understand how critical it is, because a lot of infrastructure is being put up, but how is it being put to use? Is it really being useful? Is it being really up and running? How content is to be used, how it is contributing to educational outcomes? I think there is a need to be a very, very greater focus on users of this infrastructure and ensuring outcomes. And you could see that in coming days. The very important thing also which is going to be in focus is also on, today there's a lot of focus on supply side, which I often call as a supply aspect of technology. That okay, this we got iPads, we got flashy things, we got lots of good software, AI and robotics and so on. How can be used? But essentially it has to be demand led, because there's I've seen technology being used in schools near Badrinath, for example. I went to a school, there's a place called Pandukeshwar near Badrinath, and I went to a small Shishu Mandir there, and they were also using computers, and they were trying to use through CDs and DVDs, and how to use projectors in such a small area also. They could use that even if they was little suboptimal. But I think the innovation and the sheer tenacity of the teachers and the principals out there. And there are many schools in India, there are many areas in India where you don't have internet or bandwidth. Radio can play a great role. Radio, community radios, or simply those last mile technologies which we say that, or low tech which is there. So I think it has to be based on the geography, on the infrastructure available. What should be the technology intervention? On one spectrum we have the high tech which is there. So there has to be a demand led conceptual model, and this you would see coming days. Cyber is very important part, and you would see a lot of focus on cyber. We essentially have been involved in various activities related to cyber policy. I could tell you that we're going to really see that cyber policy and data privacy and things like ethics in technology are going to be, should be used, and we will see that in coming days to be used, especially taught from, like, let's say class 9, 10, 11, 12, especially in those classes. And though the new education policy talks a lot of coding, but as we all know that I think when it was made 3 years back, where 2-3 years back it was conceptualized, coding was a lot in rage. But today it is, if you see, modern software is used, including a lot of code generators and a lot of what you call as drag and drop programming tools. So you need a lot of logical understanding and algorithmic understanding. So rather than coding, of course, a lot of focus on logical thinking and so on and so forth. And also on the downsides of technology. There are many downsides of technology also. That is less to do with technology, but more to do with the unbridled or extensive uses of technology beyond what should do. It cannot. It's an aid in classrooms. It cannot really be the be all and all, and the time spent on it and balancing the holistic development of a child and so on. So I think that aspect is very important, that that technology is used in classrooms, but at the same time, its uses is balanced by taking balancing with the overall development of the child. As we all know that there's a lot of use of social media, the use of internet. How do you balance this with the overall development which is there? So I think these are some of the very important things. And one important thing, is the standards and frameworks. Today, a lot of, is like people buy products, for example. They would say, okay, we have to buy MS Office, let's say, but then, it's like a proprietary software of a company. It's more to do, it should be, it has to be rather in terms of an a document editing software. I think these standards, references, what is bought, what is being presented, this needs to be more on a very framework basis. I think that's very important, which is there. So these are some of the things which are going to be very much, in focus. So you have to just summarize that. That's more of um, uses of technology for use based on the demand, the environment, balancing it with the downsides, like with the holistic development, and also using it in pedagogical sense, rather than just unbridled use of it, use of pilots before scaling up, and also standards, frameworks. You want to see a lot which is there, and NETF, which is expected to be constituted by the government soon, is going to play a lot of important role in defining these things which is there. And just before, last but not the least, is the NEP has a great focus on driving the theme of what we say as Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat, how the communities can be developed, how the diverse and the rich culture and heritage of India could be taught, could be experienced using technology. And there's going to be a lot of focus on that, how students from different parts of the country could interact with each other. And technology can play a great role in really bridging these distances and bringing students from different walks of life together and making them feel and experience the diversity and the richness of India. So these are various ways in which we're going to use that. So here I think my time is definitely coming to an end, and I hope I've been able to present some of these thoughts which are there in the way which I would. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for providing a brilliant context to why technology in classroom is essential and how even the remotest part of the country are adopting technology. But yes, there is a downside to everything. The excess of everything is a problem. So I think getting teachers to use technology wherever it can benefit them and the learners would be, I think, as a matter of practice and experience. But yes, thank you so much. It was lovely having you to come and share your wisdom and experience with all these teachers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.